Hi everyone, welcome to DOdaily Thursday Thoughts. It's Des here, checking in for the live episode this week, looking to answer your questions. A little bit late tonight, a couple of reasons for that. One, if I'm honest, I went to meet a friend who come back to Nottingham. I went to have a quick drink with him, but also a few technical difficulties. My battery, for some reason, not plugging into the charger, so I'm hoping I can get through this evening's episode. I'll try and be as quick as I can in many ways because I'm not sure it's going to last out. I'm fiddling with it at the moment as I speak to try and make sure that I can stay on live. It looks like it's going to be okay. So hopefully I can get through these questions, get through my thoughts, and just pass on some of the information that I always do on a Thursday night, just to just a bit of light relief from all the things we spoke about in the week, all the things that have preoccupied my mind, and of course a chance again to check in another day towards the end of the week where I might just be reflecting on all the things that have gone before. So looking forward to the things that are to come. Not quite sure what I've got. It's one of those where I have been out and Kay's done good work in getting these questions up for me. Definitely don't know what's coming tonight. But if you want to get in touch in any way, shape or form, please do drop me a comment. Of course, I'd really, really appreciate it if you like this episode. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. It's something different. Like I say, it's me just passing on information, trying to be honest, relatable, trying to pass on my thoughts, because sometimes we just need that little bit of inspiration of somebody who might not always get it right. We can watch what these famous people do on the television and try and rub off that. But the reality is sometimes we need to see a really realistic approach. And hopefully that's what I can give through DOdaily on any given day, but especially on a Thursday. As well as the comments, there's a chance to get involved. If you want to comment on any of the videos throughout the week, the social media links are rolling across the bottom of the screen there. Sorry, I'm still really, really conscious about this battery situation. I don't know why the charger won't go in, but please do contact me on any of the links. Please do follow as well. There's lots of people who choose to get in touch. You might have seen last week on Thursday Thoughts, one person wanted to sort of get in touch and speak. And again, that's a great way just for people to relate to me. There is a soft approach to mental health. There's me encouraging my activity in my running. I've been speaking about that a lot this week because it's really worked for me. But anything that's on your mind about absolutely anything, whether it's trivial, whether it's really, really important, or whether it's deep, you know, I'm quite prepared on a Thursday to get stuck into those and just give, like I keep saying, just give my honest opinion on how I can feel that little bit better about it. I always start on a Thursday by talking about how I'm feeling. Feeling great. Been out for another run this evening. Tough session, tough DOdaily coaching session. Another angle to what I do here in Nottingham is to try and encourage activity and set goals and targets. And some guys sort of buy into that. It's a great way of making ourselves accountable, really pushing ourselves at times. And it was hilly. Thursday tends to, when it's going well, Thursday tends to be hills, and it was one of those. So we found the hilliest part of Nottingham and did a run around that, and I'm feeling good for that. Before meeting a friend, it was nice just to get that one in before having a quick drink and then getting back over here. So feeling fantastic. All the positivity throughout the week. The activity, it's as high as it's been for a long time now. And of course, I'm working towards my targets and goals. And again, that's a massive part of what DOdaily is all about, and how I can try and encourage and inspire and motivate others to just do whatever they can to make themselves feel good about what they're doing. It's not always about activity. It's not always about running or walking, the things I enjoy. It's about finding good, positive scenarios from wherever we absolutely can. So on a Thursday, we kind of start summing up for the weekend, but throughout the week, I try and find ways of using the daily motivations to really crack on and make the most of what we're doing. And that's what it's all about. Looking forward to getting stuck into these questions. I really, really appreciate the support. Again, those people that do get involved, it's absolutely fantastic. that they feel comfortable doing so. People don't always feel comfortable in asking questions. I get so many comments throughout the week saying, I'd love to ask you a question, I'd love to say this, but I feel really, really uncomfortable. The reality is, without your input, I couldn't do it. And it gives me something to talk about, something to say, and something to be positive and enthusiastic about. So again, I really, really appreciate it. As always, we start off with that throwback question from last week. Last week's question was, if you have to have the same meal every day for a month, what would it be? I think Kay was asking me. I mentioned I love a steak. I've not had one since, so it didn't have the desired effect in that sense. So Steve says, I think mine will be pie and mash, but if you ask in the summer, I might say something different. Of course, everybody loves a pie and mash, don't they? We had actually bangers and mash this week. That's a great hearty winter meal, isn't it? I had it after my long run as well, so I really, really enjoyed that. Leah says, I love a good old-fashioned roast, so I'd have to go for that. Don't we all? Again, a good meal at this time of the year. Sometimes in the summer, we get a bit fed up with those. And then Kay says, I'm not exactly sure, but it probably involved pasta and garlic bread. And again, with those responses, it's just a little light-hearted way of getting involved, supporting the channel to some degree. Getting behind what I'm doing here, trying to sort of encourage what I'm doing whilst I'm trying to encourage and support others. That's what I'm always trying to do. Always talk about the importance of paying it forward. And again, I'm just putting myself out there just to be that sounding board. Not really a sounding board, because that's people talking to me, isn't it? But that voice sometimes of realism. It's hard when you're not feeling fantastic to put stuff out there or to listen, but we have to make an effort, don't we? I'm making an effort to say what I've got to say. Hopefully some people are making an effort to listen, and that's absolutely fantastic. So I appreciate the support with that throwback question. Always the same, a comment here straight away. Eve's always watching. I really, really appreciate that. Good evening, Des. Hope you're well. I got back into my exercising again this week after being unwell. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? We can't always be in top form. And I try to show through DOdaily how we can sometimes just sort of ride the calm, ride the storm before the calm. We can just feel that little bit better by taking the pressure off ourselves. Sometimes we're a little bit guilty, putting pressure on ourselves. People put pressure on us. I spoke about that a lot recently as well. I'm not going to go too deep into that today, but sometimes people question and mock why we do what we do. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, does it? If I don't put out DOdaily on any given day, I put pressure on myself. So for all people are criticising what we might do, for all what we might do for other reasons, I'm still doing it because I really want to do it. And that's the important thing at the end of the day, that we do what we want to do. We're positive, we're enthusiastic. And if just one person out there gets something from it, that's really important. A couple of weeks ago, I wasn't feeling fantastic. I was frustrated with the fact I'd started my activity again and had not really got going. All of a sudden now, feel fantastic, feel absolutely brilliant. 4 days in a row, for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and now a tough session tonight. I'm heading into the weekend feeling really good. Mention the fact that I got to do the running club yesterday. On that episode, I've done certain things throughout the week that made me feel okay. Nothing spectacular, even down to meeting a friend tonight who I've not seen for a while, just having a quick drink and then coming away. It all makes us feel good and worthwhile in what we're doing. If we don't find the positives out of it, then we're not really in a good place, are we? And all I'll ever encourage is trying to get yourself to that slightly better place. So thanks for those throwback questions. It is important. It's an important part of what I do. There'll be another throwback at the end if you want to get behind the channel. It costs nothing, to get behind the channel. It costs nothing to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget that. And if you want to comment, it costs nothing. It costs nothing to subscribe either. I just thought I'd add that in for good measure. So I'd really, really appreciate the support wherever I can get it. You don't have to believe in it. You don't have to believe in me. You don't have to believe in my reasons. But sometimes, like I say, it's just nice to pay it forward. And that's all I ever think I'm doing. I've been talking a lot recently about how I fit everything in and how I make it work. But this is so important to me, because I know this is something I do off the back of a feeling I had about a certain situation, a certain guy. I've mentioned Jamie a lot, a guy who took his own life. So it's important for me just to keep spreading that message in whichever way I can. If people don't want to take it, that's up to them. For me, this is my way of getting out there, get my thoughts in, and just talking, because it's so important, isn't it? How much sometimes by talking that little bit more do we feel better about ourselves, or do we get more information about what's going on? So communication is key. If you want to get in touch, again, all the usual sort of channels and links, that's absolutely fantastic. And don't be afraid of doing it. It's absolutely fine. So getting into the Cooks of Thursday, question 1. Like I said, I've not seen these, so there's a little bit of trepidation, but I'm sure I'll be fine because I always try to answer them the best I can. Great to see you smashing the one in. Can you think of a non-event run you've done before, what you've always had on your mind? So, a bit confused by the question, but I think it's an event that I've not run before. I've run some pretty good ones. I always talk about the London Marathon, the Great North Run, the Robin Hood Half Marathon, the Manchester 10K. They're my favourites. I ran at the Olympic Stadium once, the Dun Benidorm, which I really enjoy every year. I've run off marathons in several cities. So nothing necessarily springs to mind. Oh, yes, it does spring to mind actually. Now I think about it, now I'll give myself that chance to think. The New York Marathon is something that's definitely on my bucket list. Really love to do that. Really love to get that one in. Make sure I get over there in the Big Apple. I've been before. Really enjoyed the city before my running days. In a different lifetime it seems right now. But really enjoyed getting out there, doing the event. Doing New York. Now it's on my bucket list as an event to do. I'm not really chasing many new marathons, although I'll keep doing them, I think. I've got one planned. I did have actually one planned next week, but I won't be doing that. A bit of caution tells me that I shouldn't. I was hoping to cram something in before London, but I've decided that it'd be best not to. So in 6 weeks' time, I've got London. That's always a bucket list. Do it as many times as I can get into that. I'll do it. I'll try and do whatever I can. Of course, I've been speaking a lot this year that not in the best place with it, although my activity's picked up and I'm getting there. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to crack it. I'm not going to do it well, but I'm getting there. And that's important, isn't it? Some people probably don't do them as well as I want to do them. And that's not competitive. That's just me saying that, I'd like to work back to a point. So I want to do London well, but New York is the one that really sticks out for me. I love the city. I'd love to go back. And I don't want to be disrespectful to the time I went before, but I'm a lot happier now. I'm a lot content. I'm a lot more where I feel I need to be. So going back to New York and really being able to embrace it, that'd be absolutely fantastic. So that's an event I definitely want to go to. If there's an event you want to do and you've not done it yet, or an event you want to talk to me about, please let me know in the comments. I'd really appreciate that. And of course, don't forget, hit that thumbs up. It's free, like I said before, and just get behind what I'm doing here. My enthusiasm hopefully is coming across. I'm just feeling absolutely brilliant about what I'm doing, being able to talk about these things, being able to talk about what I'm doing. It's so important. Great question coming up, and I've only just seen it, I promise. But John says, would you have taken the match of the day job last Saturday if you were invited? Probably take a bit of stick for this because I do a bit of football content, and everybody tells me last week when they were criticising, I've been talking about this. So again, I don't want to get into the crux of keyboard warriors and what they do to put you off the scent, but a lot of people said to me, oh, he thinks he's a Gary Lineker, he thinks he's this. I saw him at Spurs last week, so it didn't bother me last week. It didn't really bother me the week before, but I made a few comments on that on social media, retaliated, which sometimes I didn't think I retaliated in a mild way, but sometimes you got to call it out, haven't you? So it's interesting that I got this question on all the back of those comments. No, I wouldn't, because I strongly believe in free speech. That's what I do here. People don't necessarily believe in me and my free speech. Without trying to drone and preach on about it, it's something I do. I know I get criticism for it. I know people around me who I thought were friends don't get behind it, but that's up to them. So they don't believe in my free speech. So if Gary Lineker has been stopped from speaking, in a way, he said what he said. He's not apologised. It's his opinion, isn't it? Whatever the opinion's about, is another subject. It's another issue completely. You can't be told what to say in this world. There's too many people, in all reality, who are slick, and to get to a place, I think the reason I don't succeed sometimes is because I don't arse slick. I say it as it is. I'm not hard. I'm not aggressive. I'm not nasty, but I'm real, and that's what I try to be. So I think someone like Gary Lineker, whilst I'm not his biggest fan, there's many reasons for that. You've got to be allowed to say what you've got to say, haven't you? And this BBC hierarchy thing, it gets on my nerves. Who do they think they are? I love certain aspects of the BBC. I watch certain programs. I think the sport coverage is fantastic. I think the radio coverage, the local radio coverage is fantastic. But if you can't say what you need to say, what's the actual point? People are switching off from this now, aren't they? It's forced. It's being forced on us to believe what we should believe because we hear it on the news, we hear this on the television. The world's changed from that now. Agenda, from what they was making us believe. We've got so many different sources, and while some of it's crap, some of it's absolutely rubbish. We're still entitled to our own opinion, and my opinion is, you're allowed to say what you want. As long as you're not purposely trying to upset somebody, you're not going out your way to upset. I don't try to upset anybody here. For all those things I've said before about people might not like it, they might not enjoy it, and they might not enjoy my opinion sometimes. They might not enjoy my content. That's absolutely fine. Switch off. But again, with the BBC, if you don't like it, switch off. And I was frustrated with it, in that situation where Gary Lineker made a choice. The most pleasing aspect for me was his mates backed him up. That's so important. I always recite a Brian Clough line, a massive Forest fan, of course. If you're loyal, you're loyal. If you're not, you're not, as he said. And I think that's so important, isn't it? Because, again, you've got to be true and honest to yourself. And if he thought anything different, if he wanted to say, people accuse him of being woke, they accuse him of being this, that, and the other. That's up to them, isn't it? Because we all have a difference of opinion. I think at times he perhaps is a little bit woke, but that's his opinion, isn't it? And I think he's only entitled to that. And if he's strong enough to tackle the organisation, then fair enough. Because again, like I said before, in reality, who do they think they are? They've had a little bit of a stronghold at times. I make comments, I say things. I've actually tried to apply for certain BBC things in the past. I'm never really going to get on saying stuff like this, am I? But again, why would you why would you not do things? He's got more power, he's got more presence, and they'll forgive him and they'll let him go and do it again and they'll live happily ever after. So that's up to them. But again, if he wasn't allowed to do it and he stuck by it, that's what I really stand by. The fact he stood by it and his mate stood by him. And they're important values in my world. They're important things that people stick by because, again, I feel I'm a loyal person. I do upset people at times. I do say the wrong thing in their mind, but I don't say it for a bad reason. I say it because it's what I believe. And it's best to be honest, isn't it? And I think that's all it's been. We can get into the crux of what he said and what it was about. He was making reference at the end of the day, and let's make no bones about that. He was making a reference. It might not have been the best reference in the world, but he wasn't being anti-Semitic. He wasn't being nasty about a situation that happened years ago. He used it as a reference, and that's the important thing, isn't it, in all that? Whether it was a exaggerated reference is questionable, but at the end of the day, it's up to him how he makes his point, isn't it? And that's the point I keep making here. That's really, really important. Kay said on the back of that, I still don't think we've heard the end of it all. Probably not, But again, I think the one thing it's shown last week with what had happened and the way Match of the Day got cancelled. Match of the Day is an institution itself. So for it to get cancelled because of what a presenter said, it's big. And I had conversations with Kay last week. It probably changed the way television is completely. Who watches these programs anyway? Everybody sort of watches what they want on demand. So do we need the BBC in that sense? Is it all pay-per-view? I love, for everything I've said right now, I absolutely love the BBC and the programs they make. They make fantastic documentaries. They covered sport so well, but they gave up on all that. What the license payer was paying the money for is no longer the same thing. They make cuts on local radio. Love local radio during the day when I'm at work, but they make cuts. And so why is it worth fighting for anymore? And I'm just being realistic. Perhaps some people will ever go at me for being like that, but that's my thoughts on it. I could actually talk about this all night, but I really need to rein myself in a little bit, I guess. But I'm just being honest. It's just my thoughts on it. This is what DOdaily is all about. If you've got any thoughts on that, of course, please sort of add that on. And I'd love to sort of read those feedback, whatever it takes, just to sort of, again, continue the discussion, because that's all we're trying to do here. Whether it's trying to feel better about itself, whether it's trying to encourage activity, or whether it's what the BBC are doing now at the weekend with Match of the Day. It's just about keeping that communication going. Because the more we communicate, the more we get to the crux of any issue, particularly with the mental health thing, and particularly with encouraging some activity. It does work. It doesn't work for everyone. People will cock their nose up it, but it does work if you keep banging that drum, and that's all I'm trying to do. And I'm not scared, to keep doing it. So thanks for that question. Got me on my soapbox, that one, didn't it? But we'll move on. Question 3 from Nicola. Will you be celebrating St. Patrick's Day? Not yes and no. Normally, I would celebrate it a little bit more, especially if it's at the weekend. You always get those people saying, "Well, why do you celebrate St. Patrick's Day but not St. George's Day?" Probably, in reality, because there's not a racist undertone to it. And I love St. George's Day. I'm proud to be English. I don't think the St. George Cross is in any way offensive or anything like that. I'd love it if we went out and celebrated it the same, but people just don't, and it's as simple as that. You tend to get a different tone and a different vibe about the place. The Irish, of course, love St. Patrick's Day. Through different relations, I've kind of got links in with the Irish people, and I like the whole backstory of that behind it. But I'm still English. I'm still proud to be English. But I like St. Patrick's Day. I like singing and dancing with them. We can all celebrate this. So normally I would celebrate it a little bit more, especially with it being a Friday. But Forest play tomorrow on Friday night. They've got a big game. So I'll be finishing work. I'm actually on half day tomorrow. Really looking forward to that. Probably watch a bit of Cheltenham. Enjoy that before going to the game. So it won't quite be the same. You never know. We might end up in a local Irish bar that we tend to end up in some Friday nights. In fact, the more I think about it, it'd probably be a bit bizarre if we don't. So, and Kay said she's going to come and meet me after football. So all things are pointing to Raglan Road here in Nottingham. Fantastic place. The best Irish bar. I'm giving it a plug now, but inadvertently. But so I probably will be celebrating it to some degree, but it won't be a day of it. in the past, I've gone out with my granddad and we've gone to the Irish pubs. He's Irish, and we've celebrated. But for me, it's just a chance to just let your hair down a little bit, isn't it? And for all those English people saying, "Oh, the English don't do this," well, go out and celebrate it then. Go out and be happy and enjoy it. Because I love St. George's Day as well. I'd definitely be celebrating that in my own way and really making the most of it. But let's just enjoy it all, shall we? That's my opinion. But yeah, that'll be what I'm doing. So I'm sure there'll be a few Guinnesses somewhere tomorrow. Check out social media. You'll probably see me with a pint of Guinness in my hand somewhere, probably on my story or something like that. But that's just me at the weekend having a couple of beers. I feel I've had a good week with my activity. Really, really enjoyed it. Comment here from Dawn, mainly on that BBC question. It was brilliant to see loyalty being shown. Loyalty is much more powerful than anything else. Exactly. Because if you fight something on your own, it's really, really difficult. If you've got a support network and people around you, it's much more powerful, especially people in that position. All I'm trying to do here is pass on messages. And again, it's great when I've got a little bit of support. But I know when I've got that, I feel much more much more capable of passing these messages on. Sometimes I question myself. But again, the more people believe, the more people want to get behind each other. It's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Getting on to this week's throwback, I spoke about food, spoke about an event there, one I really want to do. Of course, the big current issue in terms of match of the day and Gary Lineker. And then St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. Great things to talk about, aren't there? Really enjoyed tonight's episode, enjoyed those questions. But getting to the throwback, what's your favourite annual What's your favourite annual non-bank holiday celebration? So what do you enjoy doing? Well, I'm not quite sure where Kay's going with this one, to be honest. What's your favourite annual non-bank holiday celebration? So I guess that's with Easter and Christmas and I'm sure most people will think about the birthdays, but an event that doesn't fall on a bank holiday, we've of course got the coronation coming up soon as well, haven't we? Which is actually on my birthday. So I'm glad they've made that on a bank holiday as well and thrown one in there. Really looking forward to how that pans out. A little bit of a royalist, but more importantly, wondering what they're going to do with the football on that day. So how do you like celebrating your bank holidays? On the Monday after that, actually thinking about going to the races. It's prominent now when we've seen that locally. Southwell are doing some free tickets. So little things like that. Myself and the Do Running guys always go out for a walk, a long one, 10, 12, 15, 20 miles, whatever it is. Stop off at a pub or two, get some food afterwards, and it's really nice. It's a great way. Sometimes on a bank holiday Monday when it can be an anticlimax to make sure you've got out and actually done something with it. Because there'll be times in all our lives where we woke up in the morning and thought, what are we going to do? The shops are shut. There's not very much to do. And then just sulk it away. So we actually try and get up and get out. We're doing it on Good Friday. But like I say, when my birthday comes around at the start of May, we've got things planned as well. So what's your favourite celebration, which doesn't happen to fall on a bank holiday? I'd love your feedback. I'd love your comments. Like I say, all the links to the social media scrolling across the bottom. You can email me, des@dorunning.org.uk. If you've got any questions to ask me for next week's show, I'd really appreciate it. Don't be shy. As you can see there, just something to go at and just pass my opinion on. I don't always get it right. You won't always agree with me. I won't always say it in the right way as I mean it. But that's just me being me and just passing on the way I see it, the way I think about it. If I had a little bit more time sometimes, I'd probably get it a little bit more articulate. But again, I don't want to be that. I want to be a person who people look in, can be inspired by, motivated to find some positivity and to make the most of what they're doing. And even from situations where you ask about certain things, find a positive in it, find the good things that happen in life. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? One of the good things for me is wake up to walk. Not been brilliant at it recently. Something I'm really stuck by for the majority of the time I've been doing DOdaily. So I'm hoping, keep saying it week by week. The weather's really not helping me right now. It's normally, last week it was snowing. It's normally chucking it down with rain or something. It's dark. But I'm hoping to get out for a walk, process all my thoughts. Been a good week, I feel, on DOdaily. Got plenty of content out again. Got the message across about activity. Feeling good. I'm sure that's coming across, and that's what it's all about. Sometimes we just need to see someone infusing about what they're doing to give us that spark to infuse about what we do, and that's all I'm trying to do. So I'll be out for Wake Up to Walk. The episode will be on tomorrow. Like I say, anything you want to talk to me about, any questions, any comments, any sort of personal things you want to speak about, I get lots of emails. I talk about that all the time. One of the best things about doing Thursday Thoughts is the amount of people that contact me for a chat. You know, always up for that, always up for starting that conversation, starting the communication lines going to try and support people and help wherever I can. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Get involved in that throwback. What's your favourite non-bank holiday annual event? You know, what will you be doing on St. Patrick's Day? What's your thoughts on Gary Lineker? And also, what running event do you want to do? Really enjoy that. Just one quick question coming here for me. Do you think Forest will win? Well, that's the $1 million question, isn't it, Eve? They need to win. We really need a big result. Been struggling of late and just starting to get a little bit worried. Not negative, just worried, just realistic, I guess. It's not been good form recently, but I'm hoping big night at the City Ground, big atmosphere, Friday night, St. Patrick's Day. 1 or 2 people might have had a pint to improve that. The Geordies will be down. They're always good fun. You know, they always bring a great atmosphere as well. And there's a lot of Geordies in around Nottingham since the days of the pits. So there'll be a lot of people who know each other and a lot of banter, I guess. So really looking for that. And then just a quick comment on that non-favourite annual event is the Robin Half Marathon. Such a great running day and the party and afterwards. Brilliant. That's what it's all about, isn't it? You know, and these are the things we look forward to. There's no reason we can't. Just try and get rid of that question if I can. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Apologies for being late, but again, just doing what I have to do to fit things in and getting on, saying a few words, and at least I've done it. And that's the most important thing. Like I say, lots of content to check back on. Check that out. Give this episode a thumbs up. Do subscribe if you're new, and do keep watching. Get involved in what I do here. It's just a great way of supporting me, trying to support others. Just doing it.